My name's Dana Shamus, and today I'm going to talk about emotional bandwidth. If you're at your limit, you're feeling snappy and a little grumpy or frustrated, it's an indicator that maybe you're at your emotional bandwidth. And there's a good possibility that the people around you are really at their emotional bandwidth too. And so how do we deal with it? What can you do? And how do you recognize it? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And you might recall if you've been following my blogs over the past couple months that in May, June, I really said this summer is going to be intense. I called it the cauldron of transformation, and we were going to have a ridiculous amount of heat. There was going to be a lot of agitation, a lot of change, a lot of shifting, a lot of unexpected things coming forward and unfolding. And definitely in my world, in the world of my clients, that has been very true. And so really using the tools and working on how we move through those phases with grace has been incredibly important. But I also just want to acknowledge that what I see in people right now is that there is a level of frustration. There is a level of frustration that, like, we've seen that there's a whole lot that needs to change, that there's a whole lot that's not working. And we've talked about some of the things that need to change, perhaps. We've identified some of the things that need to change. Maybe we've even started initiating some of that change. But we're in this moment where maybe things aren't moving fast enough. Maybe things haven't really gotten moving into that place of change, even though you've kind of identified what has needed to happen. Um, and maybe you've implemented some things, but it needs to be tweaked. And so we're in this time period where there's some frustration that things already aren't the way they should be, or you're not moving fast enough, or there isn't enough clarity, or there aren't enough answers to really feel like you are getting traction forward. That's the feeling, tone, and sense that I'm getting from my clients, from different people, and kind of the energy that's out there. So I just want to acknowledge that for everybody, because it can be a really frustrating place, but it's quite different when you know that is the place that we're in, right? And so this is a time where it is time to go in and look at the things that need to change. Look at the things that maybe you started but haven't finished, or the things that need to be tweaked or changed so that what you want to happen will unfold. This is the time of cleanup, right? So that you were really set for the spring, to really thrive in the spring and really allow this time of, as we head into the darker time of year, to allow those changes to really marinate and take hold, so that the structure and foundation is there in the springtime for things to really thrive and really move forward in a different kind of way, which is super exciting. Like, that prospect is really exciting. It is really frustrating, though, that we're still in that cleanup phase and still in that murkiness, that things aren't 100% clear, that we don't know the way forward, that the answers and the structure isn't quite there yet. And so be patient and breathe is what I am doing, and what I'm suggesting for my clients, as well as what we're going to talk about next. So I just wanted to frame that as kind of give you some insight into kind of what I'm seeing in the energetics, and give you a little bit different frame to look through that lens of kind of frustration, or just like feeling like things aren't the way you wish they were yet. And I know we've been in that place for a while, but this one has a little bit different. There's more frustration. There's more of a sense like we should already have it figured out by now, and it should already be working, and it isn't. And so, okay, let's look at what isn't, and let's put the things in place so that it can, right? So that's the place we're in. We're going to be in it for a little bit, so you can expect some more changes coming down the pike. That is still continuing to unfold and happen. So working to expand your emotional bandwidth is really key. So in this frustration period, what I see is that people are short, they're a little snappy, they're frustrated at themselves, they're frustrated at their coworkers. There's a sense that people aren't doing their job. They're not like on it. Uh, they're not doing a good job, or they're not doing their job at all. I've heard many times. And so as I've reflected on that, what my sense is that people are really at their emotional bandwidth. And emotional bandwidth is your ability to process emotion at the present moment. That's what I call emotional bandwidth. Like, what is your capacity to deal with emotion, energy, and life in this moment? That's your emotional bandwidth, right? And so there's a lot of life going on. There's been a lot of life going on. This summer for many people I know was very intense. Lots of unexpected things in life happen. Lots of things that like maybe we thought we were over, but it came back. Um, and so, everybody's in their own situation. Everybody's dealing with their own volume of life. Everybody I know has a high volume of life currently. So let's just put that as a baseline when you're dealing with people, or you're thinking about people, or the interactions that you have. Just remember, like, yeah, people probably aren't operating at their best. That is 100% true, because there is a lot of life. So maybe give them some grace, and maybe give them some leeway. And maybe then take a reflection and a look at kind of where you are in your emotional bandwidth. If you're short, if you're frustrated, if you're snappy, chances are you're at your emotional bandwidth. And it's time to change that and shift that. And either you have really two options, is the way that I look at it. You can decrease your emotional load, or you can expand your emotional bandwidth. So for my clients, I usually suggest both. And for most people, I say both is a good option. So let's start with number one, decreasing your emotional load. What does that mean? So when we have a lot of life, we need to give our system more time to process. And we see this most often when I wish we saw this most often when we're sick or when we're grieving. So most of us, we can understand that people are going to take downtime when they're ill, or when they've had a great loss. In America, we really don't tend to honor those times as much as we should. The number of people that I hear who go back when they're still ill with COVID, or work from home, or what have you, it's a really high volume. And and I am here to tell you that you should rest and heal. And when you have a lot of life going on, which means a lot of change, a lot of transition, when you have loss, when you have severe illness in the family, and that's not just you being ill, it's a family member being ill, perhaps. You have a major move, right? All of these are big life events. And they require more time for your system to process. And so downtime is a really good idea. And so resting, restoring, relaxing in a very real way, not just vegging, even, and that's fine if you need a veg, I'm all for that. But really allow yourself to be in nature, listen to the rain, and let the system restore and relax without that fervor of having to get things done, and the fervor that you're not going to be okay, and in that constant state of stress, right? So really decrease that emotional load by taking a step back, rest and relaxing, and allow your system to process and come back to a place of neutral. That's number one. We all should be practicing that on a regular basis. I will continue to tell you, as I have told you before, that I highly suggest that through the fall, you plug in weekends, or however you need to schedule in downtime to let yourself step away from the day-to-day and really decompress. It is a very effective strategy to really work with this large volume of life. It's really not like I don't think I would consider it like going on vacation. I don't think it's like a treat. It's really practicing deep self-care of taking the time your system needs to process and come back to neutral. So work that in, plan that in, schedule it in pen, not in pencil, or however your digital format allows you to do that. Um, and so then the second part, right? The second part is, how do you increase your emotional bandwidth? How do you increase your capacity to process emotion, increase your capacity to experience life, right? And that's really increasing your emotional bandwidth. And that's really the work that I specialize in and have for quite some time. The two tools that I find absolutely the most effective are breath work and energetic meditation. So meditations that really focus on your bioenergetic field to clear your bioenergetic field and keep your bioenergetic field healthy and vibrant. And that's really the kind of meditation that I focus on. Because I find that it really allows people to be present with the energy that's in their system, the emotion that's in their system, and allows them to process that in a very different kind of way. And you can find that meditation on my website. I did a whole course called the Temple of Light meditation course that's really designed to help you clear your bioenergetic field, clear your space, clear the land that you're on, so that your energetic system can really rest. Fully connected and in the circuitry that it was designed to have. It makes a huge difference. All my clients who practice it on a regular basis are shocked. They're like, oh, yes, that makes a massive difference. So it's available on my website. I'll put the link in the chat below. And so the other tool is breathwork, which I have been a huge fan of. For a very long time, I've been a breathwork facilitator for well over 10 years now. And it for sure is the fastest and most effective tool that I have to help people process and clear energy and really process and clear emotion. We in general suppress and repress emotion by not speaking, not moving, and not breathing. If there is a part of life that you don't want to experience, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hold your breath before, during, and after that experience. And so that causes a level of suppression and repression of emotion and energy in the system and in the body. So breath work is a very effective way to allow to have your system process emotion. And I'm a fan of all breath work, but I do specific kinds of breath work that allow you to process energy and emotion at a very high rate, because I find that most people need it, that we have a lot of energy, we have a lot of emotion that is stuck in our system and decreases our emotional bandwidth because it decreases our ability it decreases the amount of energy that we have to work with and our ability to process if we don't really work with our breath to move that energy and move that emotion. So those are the two tools that I recommend the most for people and that I work with the most. The other tools that I've said before that also really help people process emotion is movement, sound, so dancing, singing, being out in nature, journaling, asking really insightful, reflective questions that make you look at your emotions, see your emotions, and get curious about your emotions. All of these things help you process emotion, right? And that's what you really need to do on a regular basis so that you can help increase your emotional bandwidth, which means like you are okay that somebody else can't deal, or you're okay that somebody else isn't doing their job or isn't moving as fast, or things aren't going the way you think they should go or someone else said they should go. You have enough presence that you can be there to see what is in the moment and what is relevant versus pre-programmed idea of what needs to happen and what should happen. It's allows you to experience just way more life and have way less fear around almost everything. It's really quite amazing. And in this stage and where we are, I feel it's a very necessary tool for you to move through things with grace, with ease, and really be present to be able to create the change and create the new things that we need, and see kind of what needs to pivot, what needs to shift, what needs to be adjusted, so that we are moving in that direction of positive change and life enhancing change. And I know that all of you are participating in that. So it's amazing. It's really exciting. And these kind of tools and strategies will only help you be more effective and have things move more joyfully, actually, and more easily. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Lots of it's written out in the blog, so check that out as well. And if you have any questions, you can message me below or send me an email. I would love to find out how you're doing, how this resonates with you, and if you're able to use any of these tools in your day-to-day life, and what that looks like for you, how that turns out for you. All right, well, have a great start to your September. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to find out more information about me or my offerings, please check out my website, danashamus.com. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. I send them out weekly with tips, insights, rituals, meditations, personal updates, special events, and offerings. So I know you don't want to miss out. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to connecting soon.